Throughout history, one of the most harrowing execution methods and torture methods was found deep inside of castles. The Oubliette was a dungeon which was known for its immense brutality and horror, as someone was locked inside of a small hole in the ground. The Oubliette inside of Warwick Castle, for example, was so feared that the soldiers in France during the 100 Years' War had even heard about its reputation. This small dungeon was so cramped that someone could not stand up, and the intention of this was to leave someone to succumb to their fate, and they were simply forgotten about. But there was one oubliette in Ireland which in the years since its use has uncovered some bones and remains of people who were incarcerated inside, and the oubliette of Leap Castle tells a dark story of imprisonment and harrowing deaths. Join us today as we look at the Irish Oubliette, one of history's most brutal execution methods. To support our channel, please make sure to subscribe. Leap Castle was built around the mid-13th century, and it was built by the O'Bannon clan. They were a secondary chieftains of the region and were overseen by the ruling O'Carrolls. It was inside a small underground dungeon here where many enemies of the clan were locked up inside of, and they succumbed to their deaths and fates there. The bloody chapel inside of Leap Castle, allegedly today, is haunted, and it is here where the oubliette is found. Specifically, it is accessed through a chamber in the northeast corner of the bloody chapel. It was believed that this room was used as a chamber to keep valuable items and wealth safely locked away, and if the castle was besieged, it was planned for the clan to hide away their best items inside this hole in the ground. But the O'Carroll clan also used it as a place to hide their most valuable prisoners, and they changed and altered the chamber to allow people to be thrown inside of it. It was inside of this oubliette where the prisoners were thrown inside of, and the entrance to the oubliette was a very narrow hole which was fitted with a trapdoor. Once the prisoner was locked and thrown inside of the oubliette, they were left to die and were forgotten about. It was a way for the O'Carrolls of Leap Castle to gain a fearsome reputation, and there were legends in which the custodians used other clans to capture and kill their enemies. But when the job had been finished, these mercenaries were allowed to go back to Leap Castle to toast their work and for a feast. However, the feast was allegedly poisoned, and the throats of these soldiers would then be slashed. The corpses of these men were then allegedly thrown down the oubliette inside of the castle, and it's claimed that 39 were thrown inside of the dungeon. In the centuries later, the oubliette of Leap Castle was tidied up and cleaned, and it was excavated properly. It was claimed that 3 carts full of skeletons and human remains were taken from the dungeon, and they were then investigated and buried elsewhere. Presumably these are the remains of those men who were thrown down the oubliette. It was also claimed during excavation work that wooden spikes were found at the bottom of the oubliette, meaning when someone was thrown down there, their body was impaled on the wooden spikes below, and they would suffer a very painful final few moments as they succumbed to their deaths. This has given rise to a number of ghost sightings in the castle, and one woman recalled her encounter near the oubliette in 1909, and she claimed, "I was standing in the gallery looking down at the main floor when I felt somebody put a hand on my shoulder. The thing was about the size of a sheep, the gaunting shadowy, its face was human, to be more accurate, inhuman. Its lust in its eyes, which seemed half decomposed in black cavities, stared into mine. The horrible smell 100 times intensified came up into my face, giving me deadly nausea. It was the smell of a decomposing corpse." Leap Castle has had a very turbulent life, as in 1922 it was actually burned out and destroyed by the Irish Republican Army, and it has today been restored. It was one of the most fearsome castles in Ireland, and the notoriety of the oubliette there helped Leap Castle gain this reputation. Thanks for watching. To support our channel, please make sure to subscribe, and once again, thank you so much for watching.